Welcome to Embrace the Spiritual Podcast. Join friends Michelle and Dawn as they share tips on how you too can open your heart, raise your vibration, and reclaim your sovereignty. Hear what they have experienced and overcome in their spiritual journeys while navigating this expansive spiritual multiverse. Discover how they transform their soul lessons from ordinary into extraordinary.
Follow, subscribe, and share Embrace the Spiritual Podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Go to embracethespiritual.com for bonus content. To book a quantum energy healing session with Dawn, visit her website, alchemy-sacredsound.com. And to book a quantum energy healing session or learn Reiki or Tuning Forks, visit Michelle on her website at energeticembrace.com.
Welcome back. Wow, do we have an exciting episode that we're going to be talking about sound frequencies. And there is so much out there, and we could probably talk about this for 8 hours and not even touch on all the important information out there. So let's start with, we are only going to be talking about the physical sound frequencies that you can create with tuning forks, singing bowls, bells, wind chimes, physical items that we possess, not the electronic binaural beats that you hear out there. I have heard that sometimes they're layered with hidden things, and I don't play that game. So I'm only recommending things that you can physically touch, physically put on the body, and that is it. And I'm going to start talking about, I use Eileen McCluskey's biofield tuning forks. They are more geared towards a physical healing than a energetic healing. And, we can heal like anxiety, depression, sleep challenges, grief, fibromyalgia, digestive issues, automotive disorders. I like these because she has 2 sets of the earth frequencies that you can use in tandem, and I use it for grounding myself before bed, or if I can't, like in the winter, we get really cold. Do I want to be outside barefoot on the ground? Not really in negative 13-degree weather. I would like to keep my toes and my feet warm. So I will use those at that time, and it really does help, recenter your system and calm it down. I use it on my animals for anxiety. My one cat absolutely loves them, and he will come over, and I like it because she also has the DNA repair 528. I've been using that on my teeth since I had the SRT session. My teeth enamel has been growing back, and it's awesome. So, and we know that, when your body is not functioning to its highest level, there's usually a DNA damage. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting the utmost care that I could towards my teeth. I'm also using raw cacao because that information is out there that it also turns on your DNA to repair whatever is missing in your system. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to make sure that I am touching on, mind, body, and soul. So ingesting that, raw cacao, plus doing the 528 to get my teeth energy stimulated at the root. And I just really like these. She's got a sonic slider. I don't remember what the number of that one is, but she just uses that as a hands-on, like a facial massage, which works really, really good. And she has these feet that you can put on, so you can lay it on your skin and it just glides all over. She's got one that has holes in it and it amplifies it. So I like it because it's interchangeable. She has these like little, I'm going to call them widgets, but it's probably like some kind of bar screwdriver sort of thing that you can, it's a quick twist and you put them on. And I've been using them for quite a while, 3 to 4 years for myself. I really like them. I know there's other things out there, but my team said, this is what you're going to use. And I said, all right. And so far it's been working. I've made a lot of progress with working on healing myself. And it does, really, especially I love the earth frequency because it really does help you ground yourselves, especially at night. I try to go on a walk, but not every evening is a walk evening. And when I can't go on a walk, it's just a great settling in with the earth frequencies, setting myself up for bed. And I just love how it makes me feel. I will do, Michelle took a course and she pointed out some stuff for teeth grinding. So I've been hitting those teeth grinding. I've also been doing my collarbones, one on each side, to get healing vibration, because I know your collarbone, if you tap it, will help stimulate your immune system. And what a great way to go to sleep, have your immune system stimulated, and not so much that you can't sleep, but enough that it starts the healing process. So when you wake up, you feel like, yeah, not only am I rested, but my immune system is working at full capacity. And it just feels like a great way to start from the night to day. So, what things that you have to suggest for us, Michelle?
Well, I love, as you said, those physical objects that create sound. I've talked about this in past episodes. I'll put on certain music because that energy vibration and that sound can help clear my room before I do sessions or before we do this podcast. If we think back to shamans employ sound in their healing with their drums, their flutes, bells, rattles, voices. And really, if you think about what sound healing does, it's based on the principle that everything in the universe is made of vibration. And sound healing works for our body because our body is made up of primarily water. And guess what happens, right? The water will carry the energy. And because we're not solid mass, which would just dampen out any sound vibrations, it can help amplify those. And really, when we think about disease, can be defined as any disorder, disruption, or disharmony in the body. So I love sound healing because it can get in and disrupt the blocked energy relating to these things. And one of my primary things that I like to use is tuning forks. So Dawn was just talking about tuning forks. The ones that I use are from Om Therapeutics. So they've got the weighted, kind of the circular discs you'll see at the top end of the tines, and all of the weighted ones are meant for on-body healing. And then there's ones without weights called, they're unweighted tuning forks for off body. So those are higher vibration. And when you apply tuning forks to the body, we apply it in specific patterns, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but the sound will go where it needs to go. That is the beauty of our body being made up of so much water, is the water will help carry the vibration. And there's been some people that can feel the vibration in their body like a day after having a session or 2 days after having a session. So those sound healing techniques are really key. I have a rain stick. I have a little shaker. I have, of course, my singing bowls. I've got crystal and metal singing bowls. They all have different sounds. And we mentioned last episode when we were talking about raising your vibration, if you ever have the opportunity to go to a sound bath, they will incorporate all of these things. They're not just playing music that's binaural beats or something. I think, those things I hesitate doing because you can never tell what frequency they're putting in that you can't hear maybe audibly, but it's still getting into your body. So I always caution against just relying on someone saying these are whatever hertz binaural beats and this is going to heal your heart chakra. Well, I think we have some other tools that are better to do that kind of work without relying on something that we have no idea what frequency is mixed in. You've seen those videos probably where they slow down a frequency and then you can hear all the layers that are actually in it. And they can put a lot of crap in there that is very negative, let's say. So here's what I love about using sound or music, as Dawn said, for the mind, body, spirit. We're always looking to balance those three. Our body's just one piece. And I'm teaching an introduction to tuning forks. It's just a 1-day class. So some of this content is from that class, but something like tuning forks or sound music promotes sleep, as Dawn was talking about, muscle tension. It promotes the flow of chi in your body. It opens those energy pathways. It can increase bone density. I have a whole bunch of different forks that I use in my practice. I've got my mid-ohm forks, so those are tuned at 136.1 hertz. That tone represents the cycle of the earth as it orbits around the sun and our 4 seasons that we have. And I've got a low-ohm tuning fork. So that one is half of what the mid-ohm is, and it's just over 68 hertz. And that low-ohm is really cool because it can get down to the bone level. So the lower frequencies like that are going to be for deeper in the body. So that's key. So when you have a really high frequency, it's likely going to be off body, dealing with your crown chakra, connecting you to the divine. I also have tuning forks that are tuned to the moon's frequency. They're called Luna forks. And I have a mid and a low Luna tuning fork. I also have what I like to call fairy forks. They are forks that are really high vibration. They're off the body. And they kind of sound like, twinkling, and they can affect your aura and those energy fields around your body. I also have a sonic ohm tuning fork. This one is 1088.8 hertz. So it's a really high vibration tuning fork, and it is used to clear anything. I always use it to clear my room. Any space I'm going into, I travel with it. It's really short fork, and it can clear inanimate objects. So let's say, you hear about picking up objects that maybe contain spirits or something. Well, these forks can be used to clear stuff like that. So sound healing can be very vast. It could be right from the body to clearing our space. Even the sound of striking a singing bowl, that vibration shifts and breaks up the energy in our space. And that's really what we want to do as part of sound healing, is we want to disrupt the energy that's not kind of in harmony. And so singing bowls are really great for that. Gongs. If you've ever been in a room when a gong gets struck, you can feel it into your bones almost. Singing, right? Sing in the car. It's an easy way, be careful maybe what music you're singing to, because that always has its own vibration. But chanting, I'll talk about chanting in a few minutes because I think that really helps. But tuning forks are kind of my go-to because I use them in a pattern that balances the chakras. So I've seen sets out there that have a root chakra fork and a sacral. So they've got a fork for every chakra. You don't necessarily need that. They're apparently tuned to different frequencies, but you know what? Intent is a big part of it. I use mid-ohm forks, or maybe a certain combination of forks, and I place them on every chakra because the vibration is still getting into the chakra. You don't necessarily need just a root chakra fork to work on the root chakra, as an example. So every cell in our body is made of vibration. Our body contains so much water, and the sound waves ultimately can travel where they need to go, right? That's why remote healing works. Sound waves can help. The vibration of sound, especially through tuning forks, can even get down to the cellular level. So it can get down to the bone, can get right into the cells and tissue, and can help heal those unhealthy cells. It's a really cool tool to get. You do have some kind of cautionary things that I want to put in as part of this episode, because I don't want you just going out a fork and apply it somewhere and then something happen, because I think that happens too often. That's why I'm starting to teach the tuning forks, because they do still need to be used properly. If you've got, for example, a pacemaker, well, guess what? You're not going to put tuning forks on the chest, because the vibration can actually either damage or disrupt the pacemaker and what it's doing in your heart. Your lymphatic system, those areas are more sensitive to the touch, your throat, groin, in your armpits. So you have to be careful of these. If you have an injury or an operation, you don't want to apply forks directly to that site. Your body's trying to heal the scar tissue and whatnot. Pregnancy seems kind of obvious, but avoid the abdominal area during pregnancy. And if you have a life-threatening disease like cancer or stuff, avoid the areas where they directly have the cancer, because you got to be careful. These vibrations go through the body. You don't want to maybe break up some of those cancer cells, as an example, and spread them through the body. So you do have to have some discretion with these. They are good for things like sore joints, but you do have to be mindful of, if you have a metal or a replacement part, you never want to work directly on that. If you have hearing aids, take out the hearing aids, because the frequency of the tuning forks can be, could damage your hearing. Like anything, you want to go in aware of how to use them properly, do your research. This is something that I've got training in. I've been using forks for several years now, and I think it's just a really great way to access the body. The technique that I use, we actually apply the forks onto acupressure points. So we could have a sore hip, but there could be an acupressure point in a different place in the body that can actually help your hip or help a certain organ. So instead of your liver has issues and put the tuning forks on the liver, we would find points on the body that those energy meridians and put the forks there to help nourish and send that healing energy. So lots of information, but tuning forks by far, I think, are my favorite in sound healing.
Beautiful. I love it. And when you were talking about the binaural beats, or however you say it, my team said, generic music is not specific to the person. So you may think that you're getting what you need, but it's not specific to what your body needs. So thank you for sharing that information. And it's true. We are all unique individuals. And I do have a story. I was using tuning forks on a friend of mine, and I was clearing, I do with energy outside the body, and I do layers in. So I started off like 3 feet, and then I go inwards. And when I got to her right hand knee, it made this weird noise. And I'm like, are you having issues? And she's like, well, there is swelling here. And we left it at that. Well, she went to the doctor the next week and had an x-ray. The tone that we were hearing was a break in her kneecap. So it was picking up that it was in an imbalance. And so that's why I love like using tools, because they always say, hey, you need to get this looked at because there's more to the story than just what you think is going on. And I also love using these because we're clearing out energetic things. And like I had seen her grandmother, and do you have like a grandmother that passed away? And she's like, yes. I'm like, were you really close with her? Yes. And then there was also, I was shown that somebody wanted to come in and say hi, and it was like somebody had died in the family. And because I was getting a mail, it's nice because you do it energetically through the layers. So like the outside layer is like birth to like 5, and then 5 to 15. And so as you could come closer, it's closer to, what your current age is. So I like that because you can go through the layers and you don't have to know everything about the person. If something needs to get cleared and they need to know the knowledge, it comes through. If it's already cleared, nothing has to be shown. So it's a nice way. We're just clearing the energy, and you could hear the tones in it. So if it's got like this wonky, wobbly feel to it, or it just is not toning right, that usually means there's a little more work. And sometimes, like you're supposed to do it like 7 times for clearing. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. And it just really cool. Instead of using Reiki, it is a Reiki energy but you're using a tool that when you do Reiki, you can feel it, and sometimes the client can feel it if they're in tune with themselves. But through this, you can hear it, you can feel it, and sometimes you can even have the sensation. So it's just like a triple confirmation in my mind that yes, we're really doing work. Yes, it's working. And I just love it. The same with singing bowls. I love using singing bowls. One time I was doing a Reiki session on somebody and needed to heal her heart chakra. And they're like, go get your heart chakra bowl. And so we played it until they said, that's enough. And yeah, I could see just like these energies like leaving her, because a lot of stuff gets accumulated in our heart and we don't let it go. And if we're not letting it go, we're not healing to our utmost ability, because if our chakras aren't flowing perfectly, we are not going to be energetically in alignment. And once one of them starts builds up, then they all start building up. So it is really important to make sure that you are checking in with yourself on your chakras, your earth chakra. We have 18 chakras. I was just reading Robert Drexler, and he was talking about you have your 7 chakras, and then there's 18 outside the body. Well, we don't talk about those 18 outside our bodies. And I know I've been blocked on like the 12th and 13th chakra. I could feel it. I just didn't know what was going on because it was like way out there. So work on the 7 here. And as you heal those, you will start getting in tune with those other chakras that are outside the body. And you'll know when they're not in their right place. And I love tuning forks and singing bowls for this because it gets to the energetic nitty gritty, and you can feel like, am I stuck? Am I not stuck? And like when my husband was having, he's like, I think I'm having heart problems. And it wasn't, it was his energetic system in his physical body was stuck. So if I had gone to the tuning fork, we could have dealt with it that way, but he's more of a hands-on person. So we dealt with it with massage, and 2 to 3 days, he felt better. So we have all these wonderful tools that we just don't think about. And I think if it calls to you, reach out to, your practitioners. Singing, I mean, there's gong. Sound healing is so wonderful and is so amazing to use in your life that without it, I think that we're missing a layer of living that can just make ourselves, brighter and higher, and just makes life a lot better.
I'm glad you brought up about the change of vibration and how often to put it onto your body. Here's how I like to use the tuning forks and how I've been taught is, or even if you put a singing bowl on your body, like if you're working on somebody and strike the singing bowl and allow the vibrations to go through their body. If your body is kind of depleted, whether it's disease, illness, whatever, your body will absorb that sound really quickly. And whatever sound healing instrument that you're using will tone out really quick. So I always, when I'm working on somebody, will put forks on a spot at least 3 times, right? For that balance of body, mind, and spirit. But I can feel in the forks vibrations how quickly the body is absorbing it. So when they're absorbing it really quick, it's like drinking. If you're thirsty and you're gulping water, that's what your body's doing. Your body's gulping in. It's like, oh yes, it wants that healing energy. So use your intuition with it. Use the feeling that you have. Even if you're playing a singing bowl and it's not holding the resonance for very long, keep going with it, like Dawn said, because maybe your aura is absorbing that energy. It needs that lifting, because ultimately what we were talking about in our season opener episode about raising our vibration is that when we can get the sound healing to promote healing and restoring that balance within our body, that allows us to raise our vibrational frequency. So that's why we wanted to do these episodes kind of back to back, because raising our vibration, if our body is dense and the energy is stagnant and not moving, it's going to be hard to raise your vibration. And that sound healing can help shift that. It's just amazing because it truly is an alternative medicine, but it's not new, right? Like we're talking about shamans. Shamans have been around for lifetimes, and it's always sound and breath and using that harmony of the sound to bring about change. I want to talk about chanting. So this is something that years ago, kind of when I was starting my spiritual journey, I always felt awkward chanting, because even the word chanting kind of just feels awkward. Like I'm not one to, be really loud in public or anything. So it was kind of a challenge for me. Well, what I've learned is that chanting is really just using your breath work, right? So you're breathing not from your chest, you're breathing like deep down and getting like your lungs full. And then you're vocalizing a sound frequency that resonates with your body. So there's actual chants. So these are ones that are associated with the 7 on-body chakras. When you do these, or they're called mantras, when you do these chants, you want to take in a really deep breath, and then you just basically, if it's a deep voice or it's a high voice, you'll notice it'll start getting deeper as you're able to kind of sustain the vibration. And you just want to chant this single syllable word for as long on your out breath, for as long as you can hold it. And it might be really short at the beginning. That's okay, because you kind of work up to it. So the base chakra, I'll go through these one by one, is spelled L-A-M, but it's actually pronounced lum, as in plum. These chants for each of the chakras can be used on a daily basis to clear and balance your chakras. So even though you're audibly voicing these chants, it's impacting that chakra. And this Lum mantra chant in the base chakra can help eliminate fear and guilt. So it's shifting that energy in your body, and you're using your voice, right? You don't have to go out and buy a singing bowl or tuning forks. This is something you can do. And if you feel awkward about it, I do it when I'm driving, right? Nobody knows what you're doing. You can be as loud or off key as you want. It doesn't matter. So, be creative, or while you're doing housework, doesn't matter. The sacral chakra, the mantra is pronounced Vam as in thumb. And this one removes blockages or bad habits while opening your mind to change. Wow, that's pretty cool. If you can start releasing some of those. We talked about that in raising your vibration of kind of working through triggers. So guess what? Here's a practical tool that you can use to start shifting that energy in your body. So the solar plexus chakra. So if you're not aware, the root is right kind of at your pelvic area, the kind of the coccyx base of your spine. The sacral is midway between your pubic bone and your belly button. Your solar plexus chakra, which is just above the navel, but kind of below your rib cage. And this one is pronounced rum. Chanting this can help you achieve that transformation and awaken your personal power. And this one's a little bit unique because it can also aid in healing your DNA. So yay, who wants to heal their DNA? Yes, please. And the heart chakra, so of course, center of our chest. And this one is pronounced yum as in yummy. And this one enhances your communication for a better connection with people and the environment. Your throat chakra, it's pretty obvious where that is. And this one is pronounced hum as in humming. And it awakens your intuition and activates and cleanses your throat area. And I find that this throat chakra is a huge one that a lot of people are working on. And as you go through these chants and these mantras, you will notice, like, you might sound like all crackly and stuff when you're doing these. That's okay. You're still moving the energy. So please don't judge on how these sound. They will sound like, if you've ever heard a fox at night howling at the moon, it sounds like someone is being hurt severely. So it's all good. Your third eye chakra, this is the one kind of most common, the Om, of course, OHM, there's multiple spellings for it. It erases any stereotypes, balances spiritual order, and restores neural connections. And the last, top of your head, the crown chakra. Now this one, there's kind of a couple different things out there, but this one I've done as a silent Om. So not audibly done like the other ones, but kind of chanted silently, like almost like you're humming. And that vibrational frequency will surround your mind, make it easier to open your crown chakra. And it also, with it being silent, kind of allows your higher consciousness to open to the divine. So it's kind of that stillness that we've talked about in being able to kind of have that connection with your higher self and your divine team. It's a great way to use sound that we all have. It's free. We can do it wherever we want. If you want to do it in the shower, be careful. You don't want to swallow water if you're doing it in the shower. Wherever you want to do it, it's great. The only caution I would do if you're doing it in the vehicle is sometimes people can get a little bit lightheaded, especially if you're not used to the deep breathing. So, just kind of work up to that maybe. Maybe sit in your vehicle in a parking lot and do it. And that way, if you get a little lightheaded, you're at least stopped. So that's one of the things that I wanted to add for sound healing that I think is really powerful. And sometimes people shy away from it because they don't want to sound silly chanting.
I love that. I love chanting. I don't know how you do it driving because it lights up my chakras and I enjoy the moment. So I don't want to be like, oh, my third eye is opening up and, be like, oh, I'm starting to see things and distract myself while driving. But good for you for being able to do that. And I'm just going to point out there is scientific studies on chanting. It helps with stress, anxiety, depression symptoms. It can increase positive mood, feelings of relaxation and focus attention. It is also helps reset the parasympathetic nervous system, which we can all use since we have been taught that, the faster you go, the better it is. But some things we do need to slow down. Chanting for 10 minutes improved attention. It contributed towards having a positive mood and increased feelings of social cohesion. Who doesn't want that? To feel like they are getting along better with people. We're all here to work together, and since we're all part of each other, and I just love that will make you feel closer to other people. It has also been used for treating veteran diagnosed with military-related post-traumatic stress disorder. It has helped them heal themselves. And there's just tons of information. It helps Alzheimer's. It activates parts of your brain that we stop using as we get older. And I just really enjoy doing that. And as you were talking about chanting, my team, I kept forgetting as you're like going, because it was so interesting what you were saying, Michelle, but they're like, don't forget, we're talking about mind, body, and, healing ourselves. Don't forget about where we live. It is so important to take care of our items that come into our house and clear them. And remind me, when we were on our retreat, what did you use to clear the crystals?
That is my sonic ohm tuning fork. So that one is the 1088.8 hertz.
Thank you. And yes, we can also use these things to clear things coming into our house. I was just watching a clearing your mirror, because sometimes they can be portals and bring in, negative things. Or, if they have witnessed something that is negative, they can hold that energy and reflect it back to us. So, which is the same thing as if we have a pond on our property, think of all the things that it has seen. So we can use these tools not only for ourselves, but to heal our property, our land, our houses, the historic memories that come with buying a house. And I know we talk about saging and doing that, but I also find that doing tuning fork and going around and doing a clearing that way is also a beautiful tool to use for yourself, or singing bowls, bells. I have a little bell that I will ring after a session, or if I feel like there's something in the house that doesn't belong, I'll go around and, chase it out the open windows. We just have so many beautiful gifts that at this time and place, it's just, use them all or just use one of them. And don't forget that we're all connected. Your trees would love to have a little tuning fork or sound bowl. Don't use them just inside. Take them outside if you feel inclined to use them, and, serenade your property or your neighbors. It definitely can help uplift all their energies too. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
When you're talking about nature, I recall seeing a video that they've hooked up, little clips to leaves on a tree or something, and nature produces its own sound. And that's why we continually say, get out in nature, because the sounds of nature themselves is a form of sound healing. The birds, we're in Canada, so the Canada geese are starting to fly over because they're like, let's get out of Dodge. It's starting to get cold. And even that, to sit and listen, there's a very rhythmic, sound to that. Even the owl that I was talking about last episode, where the owl was outside this morning. And I think that's the first time we've had an owl here that's been in the morning, normally the birds and whatnot, but it's all a pattern. And the trees and the leaves give off a certain energy, which alerts the birds and has the birds start singing, right? Like it's all interconnected. So I think the big message for this as well is sound really has that impact ultimately on our spiritual development, because it's shifting things in our aura, in our body. It's making us physically lighter by getting rid of those dense energies. And it can help in those meditation experiences. Like Dawn said, we should be clearing things in our house. If you have a drum, drums are really good. Walk around the house and just drum. Even if you feel like standing in one place for a while and drum, listen to that intuition that's telling you that area maybe needs some lightening up. And don't worry about how you look. I've gotten over that. Certainly in the beginning, I was like, kind of feel foolish, maybe standing outside drumming, but who cares? I'm lightening the vibration of my property and my house, and that's the priority. So facilitate that healing within yourself. If you're a practitioner, healing others. If you haven't already incorporated sound healing into your practice, I would highly encourage that, even if it's just playing a bowl. I have a new metal singing bowl that I got that's a D sharp. So it's a bigger one and heavy. And my dog really loves it. Every time I play it, he comes into the room. And as Dawn said, that her animals kind of do the same thing. They love the sound. They also know when their body's had enough, they'll leave, right? So they're like, okay, I'm done. They don't need quite as much as we do. They absorb it quite quickly. So just explore that power of sound in your spiritual life. It can transform things, it can enrich your life, and ultimately give you a greater sense of connection, harmony, and spiritual growth.
Follow, subscribe, and share Embrace the Spiritual podcast on all streaming services, including YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Go to embracethespiritual.com for bonus content. To book a quantum energy healing session with Dawn, visit her website, alchemy-sacredsound.com. And to book a quantum energy healing session or learn Reiki or Tuning Forks, visit Michelle on her website at energeticembrace.com.
Infinite love and gratitude. Thank you for joining us.